John Miller now joined by our Packers insider, Paul Bretl. Paul, thanks for joining the show. Paul, we've seen the highs, we've seen the lows, we've seen the ties. What is this ball club right now? Where are they at?
I think that's the million-dollar question at this time. And Matt LaFleur said this past week, coming into this week's game, that it's a blessing and a curse where this Packers team is right now, because there's a lot of good that's taken place, but there's also a lot of improvements that have to be made as well. And I think this Bengals game is a perfect encapsulation of that thought process, because you don't want to be playing, as LaFleur said, your best football in September. You want to be playing it come the playoffs. So that's what the Packers are working for. And the hope right now is that obviously they're not playing their best football, but in order to get to that point, some of the lulls that they've had, the miscues, the mistakes over these last few games, you have to turn those into positives by correcting them.
It just feels like this team right now cannot play complementary football at the same time. Either the offense is playing really good or the defense not at the same time. But let's talk about the defense. In their last 3 games, the defense at the end of games is allowing multiple scoring drives in a row. What are you seeing from them, and what's the problem you think in the second half? Because they're playing lights out in the first half. So good.
Yeah, I mean, particularly in this game, that long scoring drive and the success that the Bengals had, there was a lot of some success in the run game, some quick passing game on underneath routes, and the Bengals just kind of plodded their way down the football field. I think the big thing that this defense is missing right now is that key turnover. They came into this week's game, the Green Bay Packers, with only 2 takeaways, the second fewest in the NFL. Jeff Hafley's been very optimistic about what they put on film in terms of going after the football, but obviously those opportunities haven't come. However, he's preaching process right now. You continue to do the right things consistently, the results are going to come. And I think that's the big thing this defense is missing right now. We just haven't seen that game-changing takeaway in the second half.
Let's talk about the offensive line. This was the first time we kind of saw the number 1 unit all together for a whole game. What did you see from those guys today? Because it looked like in the second half and the first half, at the end of the first half, they were really putting it all together and they were starting to gel.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest contributor to today's performance is you have that continuity, such an important element to offensive line play. And with that, we saw the running game really take off, like you mentioned, in the second half. And Josh Jacobs talked about this past week how they had put together some really strong practices, specifically in the run game. And we saw the results of that on the field on Sunday. And when the run game gets going, it does so much for the offense, opens up opportunities in the passing game, creates one-on-one opportunities for the pass catcher. So I don't think it's a coincidence that the run game really started to get going, and so did the rest of the offense in that second half.
LaFleur said, early on the Bengals were playing too high shell and the Packers were only getting 2 yards per rush. And he said he looked at the offensive lineman and said, it's going to be a really long game if you guys don't block better. But guess what? They blocked better today. But speaking of the offense, Jordan Love, LaFleur said, he played, I want to be PC here, he played his butt off today outside of that interception. What are you seeing from Love? But I think people get too wrapped up in those interceptions. I think he's playing very good football right now.
Yeah, I think his entire start to the season has been really good. I think he's operating at a high level, as Matt LaFleur had said, and I think part of that is just being healthy this season, right? Obviously, he navigated the lower body injuries last season, so his ability to move around the pocket, navigate the pass rush, accuracy at the quarterback position starts with your lower body. I think we're just seeing the benefits of him being healthy, and it's turning into strong execution on the football field. Now, I will say, area of growth for him still is occasionally some decision making. That interception he had today looked like one, to my eyes, that he should have thrown away. We saw in the Dallas game the throw to Emmanuel Wilson in the flat at the end of overtime that probably should have been out of bounds to conserve clock. So there's still areas of growth for him, but overall he's operating at a really high level right now.
He's just got to get that Brett Favre in him out of him, just a little bit. He likes to gunsling it a little too much, but you know what? That's what makes him who he is, one of the best quarterbacks, maybe top 10 in the NFL. He's having a really good season. But Paul, thank you so much for your time as always. He's Paul Bretl. I'm John Miller from Lambeau Field, NBC 26 Sports.